Hey guys, YouTuber 100 here, and oh yeah, today marks 6 years since the death of Macho Man Randy Savage, and I just found this shirt a couple of days ago at Walmart, and of course, like, how could I have not gotten this? I mean, yeah, Macho Man, one of the greatest of all time in the WWE, and yeah, and I, of course, like, I just found the shirt at the perfect time, as it now has been 6 years since his death. Oh yeah. Alright. But anyway, okay. So anyway, alright. Anyway, so yeah, here I am with another Star Trek movie review. Now, here I am with a review of Star Trek Insurrection. Oh, so yeah, this really was not very good of a movie. I mean, yeah, this was probably the worst film of the Next Generation movies. That's what a lot of people have really said. I mean, this is really considered by a lot to be the worst of the Next Generation films. And I'd say it probably is. I mean, I'll have to see how Nemesis turns out once I watch that. But yeah, this really was not very good. I mean, I just watched like Nostalgia Critics review of this movie. Linkara has said that this one is his least favorite of the franchise, and even Nostalgia Critics said that he feels that this one is probably the worst of the franchise. For me, I can't really go that far. I mean, yeah, I really don't think it is like quite as boring as the first movie or nearly as terrible as Final Frontier. But yeah, still this one is like pretty like boring still, and it's really not that interesting. I'd probably say this is probably the third worst Star Trek film of the franchise. I mean, just the plot of this movie really is not very interesting. The action scenes really aren't too great. I mean, they really are not that memorable, and they really are not that engaging. Just and even like the characters really are not that interesting in this film. I mean, and yeah, we got like Picard forming a connection with like the one of the women in this film, like on the Baku, one of the Baku people, and really, I felt that really wasn't needed. I mean, the connection, like the romance between Picard and Anij, is that how it's said? I just felt like it was really unneeded because I feel haven't we already gotten like enough of these like romantic connections? Like we had it with Kirk and Gillian in Star Trek 4, and we had just the one in the last movie with Kirk and the other woman. I mean, just yeah. I feel like these romantic connections are really starting to get old because I mean they just don't last in the films. I mean none of them are carrying over to the following film, so I really don't see why they're doing all these romantic connections. And yeah, just like this movie really just is not that memorable to be honest. I mean, if you do watch like if you do want to go through like the Next Generation films, I really say that this one is one that you probably really don't need to see because it's just really not that interesting. And yeah, this will probably just really like you'll probably just watch this, and once you pass by, you'll probably just immediately forget it because yeah, I really cannot remember very much from this film at all. It's really not that memorable, and yeah, it's really like not too good. So yeah, I would probably give this film, I don't know, 2 stars out of 4. I mean, yeah, not really like anything like absolutely horrible. I mean, it's not like something where you're just gonna like want to just destroy the film and just like it'll enrage you or anything. But yeah, if you watch this, this will probably leave you wanting something a lot more. Like this is like really a big step down from First Contact, to be honest. And even like with Generations, like this film isn't as good as Generations either. Okay, so Yeah, well, let me just like get into the film. I'm probably just gonna zoom through it as fast as I can because there's really not a whole lot to talk about with this film. All right, so the movie opens with like Data being transferred on an undercover mission to observe the Baku people, and while he's on the planet of the Baku people, he ends up like malfunctioning, and he like inadvertently reveals the Joint Federation presence, and eventually like Admiral Dougherty contacts the Enterprise to obtain data schematics, but he also like adamantly states the present that the Enterprise presence isn't needed. And then Picard just then ignored all the orders, and then he just had the Enterprise go to capture Data. And they eventually did stop Data, and then after that, like Picard started to like be suspicious of what Dougherty said about the Enterprise not being needed. And so they then started to investigate what actually caused the malfunction of Data. And then they eventually like discovered that the Baku actually has some advanced technology, but they reject the use to live simpler lives. And then like it's eventually discovered that the Sona, which are like Dougherty's allies, they are like a decrepit race, and then they like use medical techniques to prevent death, and that their excessive use of the cosmetic surgery will give them like a mummified appearance. And so then the Enterprise like was experiencing some rejuvenation effects on the planet, and then it like gives like Geordi like the regeneration of his eyes, and he no longer needs any ocular implants. And also, like, Commander Riker and Counselor Troy, is that how it's said? They end up, like, rekindling their relationship that they abandoned for a long time. And yeah, and then, like, it then also makes, like, Picard develop a relationship with Ange, which I talked about, which really was not needed, but yeah, I won't talk about that anymore. Then eventually Data and Picard discovered like there was like a cloak Federation ship that actually contained like a really big holodeck setup that to recreate the Baku village. And then like the Data's malfunction ended up like stemming from a Sona attack, and like which he received when he discovered the vessel. And then like Picard eventually confronted Dougherty, and then he learned that the top Federation officers, along with the Sona, are secret like came up with a plan to secretly deceptively move the Baku into the ship and like relocate them to another planet, which will then allow the Sona to collect the rejuvenating radiation, but it'll also like poison the planet in the process. And then, like, the Enterprise was then just ordered by Dougherty to leave. But then, like, Picard just stated that the rejuvenation benefit doesn't justify Dougherty's plans for the Baku, and it actually would violate the Prime Directive. And then, like, he also, like, planned to alert the Federation of the relocation. And then Picard and some of the other members of the crew were helping the Baku escape from abduction, but Riker like ended up like taking the Enterprise to a transmission range and communicated to the Starfleet to inform them of the violation. And then like there were some robotic probes sent by the Sona to find and capture some of the Baku members. And then it's shown that the leader of the Sona, Adar Ruafo, is that how it said? Yeah, convinced Dougherty to let two of the Sona ships attack the Enterprise. But Riker ended up defeating the ships, and then the Enterprise was able to escape. And then eventually Ruafo insisted on harvesting the radiation source, and then like Picard, Anij, and a lot of the other Baku were then transported onto the Sona ship as prisoners. And then Picard eventually revealed to Doherty that the Sona and Baku are actually the same race, and then they're involving the Federation in this feud. And the Sona are actually a splinter faction of Baku, and then they end up giving up their bucolic assistance and a century before, and they did it to embrace the use of technology. But yeah, it was then also explained that they attempted to seize some power, but they ended up failing, and then the elders of the Baku just exiled from the planet, which denied because they were denied the rejuvenating effects of the rings. Yeah. Sona also ended up developing an like an artificial and perfect means to extend their lives at the cost of disfigurement. And eventually Ruffo ended up killing Dougherty after he backed out of their plan. And then Ruffo then ended up proceeding with the plan on his own. And as then Picard was then set to be executed, he then just convinced the Sona Gallatin to help him stop Ruffo. And Picard then used a ruse to transport Ruffo and the bridge crew to the holoship and shut down the harvester. And Ruffo eventually discovered the deception, and then he transported it to the radiation ship, and then to just restart the process manually. And Picard also followed old Ruffo. And then he set the harvester to self-destruct, and then that ended up killing Ruffo. And then Picard ended up being rescued by the Enterprise. And then just the remaining members of the Sona were forgiven, and then the Baku welcomed them back into the planet. Yeah. And then, yeah, Picard then just arranged a meeting between Gallatin and his Baku mother, and then, yeah, it just ended with, the Enterprise crew just, taking a moment to enjoy the rejuvenate selves, and then they returned back to the ship to continue on with their previous mission, and, yeah, that's how the movie ended. So, yeah, kind of a really, generic and really, not interesting and forgettable plot for this film, really. And yeah, like I said, not really anything from this film is that memorable. So yeah, like I said, 2 stars out of 4. I mean, yeah, not definitely not the worst Star Trek film ever made, but yeah, probably of the Next Generation films, it is probably the worst, and yeah, probably top 3 worst Star Trek films of all time. But like I said, not as bad as Final Frontier, and not as boring as the first film, but still it still is kind of pretty boring and really not too great. So yeah, like I said, if you said, I mean, this really is not a Star Trek movie that you really need to see. I mean, yeah, you can definitely skip through this film if you go through. If you want to watch all the Star Trek movies, this is definitely one you can really skip, because I mean, there's really nothing in this film that really I can really recommend for you to watch. So yeah, probably one of the more skippable films. Alright, so yeah, that does it for my review of Star Trek Insurrection. I hope you guys enjoyed this review. Alright, and yeah, I mean, yeah, I would really think that this probably would have been like, probably the time that they could have like ended the original run of the films, but they still had one more film to go that they decided to do. And yeah, we'll get to that next time with Star Trek Nemesis, which will be the final film of the original run of the films. Alright, so yeah, but alright, that does it for a review of Star Trek Insurrection. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.